starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Bass in your face. Bass in your face.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Nigma. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with the channel or are watching this channel for the first time, the reason why it is called Uncommon Sense is because here on this platform, we discuss everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions. But not everyone uses logic. So for that reason, it is called Uncommon Sense. I want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Also want to let everybody know that the subscriber mode has been enabled for the first 5 minutes. Meaning, if you're not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you have to be a subscriber for at least 5 minutes. First of all, I just want to give a huge shout out to all those who have already subscribed to the channel, whether you've been a supporter from the very beginning or just recently joined. I really appreciate all the love and all the support that you continue to give me. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media, particularly Instagram and TikTok. Your continued support really touches my heart. Also want to give a huge shout out to all those who allow me to enter into your devices, and a huge shout out to all those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. I also have a smaller YouTube channel called Latina Diaspora, which focus on issues pertaining to Latinos, particularly Latinos born and raised in the United States. In the description, you'll see a link that will lead you to my other channel. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you have not done so, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and set the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. Okay. So as you can see by the thumbnail, the topic for tonight is congestion pricing, a blessing or a curse. Now, this was the original stream that I was going to do Friday. That was before we heard the latest regarding the hush money trial of Donald Trump. And we all know what was the verdict. He was found guilty on all 34 counts. So I want to make sure I discuss that as we get close, as we get more information and we get to the sentencing. I will discuss it further. Now, first of all, what we're going to have is we're going to have another episode of In My Words. Okay. Now, June is a very active month because we have a lot of cultural events and also there's some holidays that are coming up. Okay. Yesterday was the Israeli Day Parade, which was, of course, remember the fact that the State of Israel became an independent nation back in 1948. Now, this Sunday, will be the National Puerto Rican Day Parade, which whether you be Puerto Rican that was born and raised on the island or part of the Puerto Rican diaspora, millions of people will watch the parade, and it was a chance to show our pride and a chance to show um, our flag. Okay. And our flag is something that's very important, dear to us, because at one time it was a federal crime to have the Puerto Rican flag because it was seen as a sign of defiance. Okay. Also, this month we have Father's Day, when we acknowledge all the men who provided a positive male influence on us. And I see we have Dreadlock Diaries. Good evening, Keishal. Thank you very much for stopping by. And I just want to let everybody know that my friend Keisha has two channels. One of them is Dreadlock Diaries, when she talks about um, dreadlocks and the proper way to maintain dreadlocks and things of that nature, and talks about many techniques how to properly care for your dreadlocks, not just for men but to women as well. And also, she has another channel called Grapevine New York. So I'm going to ask you to show some love, to her. Check out her content and subscribe to her channel. So, and of course, for some people, Father's Day is a bittersweet time, mainly because of the fact that for some of us, our fathers are no longer here, and others, we don't have the best relationship with our fathers. Good evening, Donna Mando. Thank you very much for stopping by. Also, Donna Mando has his channel, so I'm going to ask you to show some love for him and check out his content and subscribe. So when it comes to days like Father's Day and Mother's Day, it can be very bittersweet. Okay, I too be going through. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kesha, for sharing the stream. So it is a bittersweet time, particularly in my case, because it's good. This coming October will be 12 years that my father passed away, and unfortunately, my father passed away close to my birthday. But he lives in my heart. So, and I think that's the best, the best way to honor the parents that are no longer with us is to try to maintain the life lessons that they taught us. Also, in the month of June is we have Gay Pride Month. Okay, where people acknowledge oh, I'm sorry to hear about that. I'm sorry hear about that. Well, we acknowledge the achievements and of the LGBTQ plus community. Now, this is my thing. Okay, I respect everybody as far as how they wish to live their life and who they wish to love. That is their choice. Okay, I acknowledge that it is Gay Pride Month. I acknowledge that. I respect that. Let's just say that I respect that people should be able to live their lives as they see fit. The only issue I have is when people try to impose their values on others. And that's something that we should never do, regardless of who we are. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to be talking about is, of course, This going back between Chrissy and Exoticals United. There seemed to be some sort of a conflict with the other, and people responding to other people's content and things of that nature, and then sometimes feel like people like that patrol. This is, I'm going to give you my 2 cents or whatever it is worth. As always, YouTube creators have the full discretion regarding how they govern their content and what they produce and what they say. Okay. And I always believe that if you do not like a certain creator, then don't consume their content. Okay. I have not seen Chrissy's content, so I really wouldn't know what it's about. I've seen some Exoticals United content. I'll give her this much. She's a talented individual. She's very successful, but this pretty girl club strikes a vanity. Okay, and again, people have the right to air their content and just to talk about whatever they feel like talking about. Good evening, William of Brooklyn. Long time no see. So I'm just, as usual, I'm going to be neutral because I don't get involved in these YouTube politics. It does people, I mean, it's the reality. People are going to have beef with other people, what have you. And, whatever you say and do with your platforms, it's perfectly fine. Look, like I said before, I don't believe in censorship, but like I said before, if you don't like a certain creator, then don't consume the content. It is that simple. Okay, it is that simple. So now, also, I believe, if unless I'm not mistaken, I believe Dominican Father's Day is this month. I'm not too sure. I think it is the last Sunday of this month. Okay. Now, of course, being that June is remember Father's Day. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Well, being that we celebrate Father's Day, I'm going to be doing a shout out to the fathers sometime next. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It's the last Sunday of July. Okay, I stand corrected. So Dominican Father's Day is the last Sunday of July. Okay. So next week, I'm going to be doing a shout out to the fathers. Good evening, Irby. Thank you very much for stopping by. And when I mean the fathers, basically I'm referring to the men who played a positive fatherly image to other people. Thank you very much, Irby, for stopping by. And of course, we know that not everyone has the best relationship with our fathers, but let's just try to, take it in stride and just bear in mind that, not to be envious, but we're all, for better or for worse, those of us that know our fathers, we have a father. Okay. So now with that, excuse me. Now with that being, yeah, I can imagine, and believe me, it's been almost 12 years since my father passed away, but I know that he's no longer suffering, and the best and the best way to honor the memory of our fathers is to try to be the best version of yourself, and apply the life lessons that our fathers taught us. Okay. So, with that being said, excuse me, we're going to get into the main topic. So, the topic for tonight is congestion pricing, a blessing or a curse. Now, let me just explain to you what's going on. Okay. Um, Starting June the 30th, um, we're going to have what's called congestion pricing. What that means is like for vehicles that enter the borough of Manhattan below 60th Street and covering the southern tip of Manhattan, they will have to pay an additional fee to enter the city, enter the borough of Manhattan. Now, the whole principle behind it is to try to alleviate the congestion. Okay. Now, if any, no, for those of you who drive, okay, I don't drive. Okay, I'm a passenger. But for those of you who drive, it could be a pain in the neck. First of all, trying to drive into the city through the highways and byways and motorways and things of that nature. Okay. And then another problem is trying to find parking. Okay. Because parking that's a huge problem. Okay. Particularly when you have a city close to 8 million people. Good evening, Multi. Thank you very much for stopping by, and thank you always for sharing my content. And just want to let everybody know that Multi has her channel, so I'm going to ask you to please show some love to one of my cyber children and check out her content and subscribe. So, to try to alleviate the situation of congestion of driving, so what they did, they come up with what's called congestion pricing, meaning that you will pay a fee, you will pay an additional fee attached to the other tolls that you will have to pay in order to get into the city. Now, let me just give you a few examples what I'm talking about. And this is all to go into effect June the 30th. All passenger vehicles will be charged $15 to enter what is known as the congestion zone, which covers the southern tip of Manhattan to 60th Street. Okay, and that's regardless whether the passenger vehicle has a driver or one passenger or two passengers or three passengers. Okay, if you are operating a small truck, you will pay an additional $24 fee to enter into the congestion zone. If you operate a large truck, you will pay an additional $36 to enter the congestion zone. Again, the congestion zone is from the southern tip of Manhattan going to 60th Street. Okay. Now, before I continue, let me just state that the link to join the panel has been pinned. Should anyone wishes to come up, hop on the panel and opine regarding the topic, they can do so. As always, I'm going to ask that if I have never seen you before, I'm going to ask you to please come up in the backstage, so I make sure that you don't flash anything inappropriate, which will cause the good people of YouTube to take down the stream. Okay, so let me just give you some more facts. If you operate a motorcycle to enter in the congestion zone, you will pay an additional $7.50. Yes, 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 I think that is a good idea. We all should check out multi-slash streaming. I know I shared it on my community tab, and of course, you know, and of course, we all have to support each other because we're all small creators, and okay, and definitely, definitely. So I'll ask you, did you say anything not just for multi, but the other YouTube creators that's on the channel? Now, if you are a taxi driver, you will pay an additional $1.25. Thank you, Multi. I really appreciate all the love and support that you continue to go. Yes, that is so true, Multi. That is so true. Now, if you're a taxi driver, you will pay an additional $1.25 for each ride. Okay. And if you are using um, any of the share car app modes of transportation like Uber and Lyft and other shared vehicles, you will pay an additional $2.50 per ride. Okay. Now let me just give you what would be the just to give you an idea. What are the highways and the highways where you will enter into the congestion zone. So you have on the east side you have the Queensboro Bridge, the Queens Midtown Tunnel, the Williamsburg Bridge, um, and the Manhattan Bridge. On the southern tip of Manhattan, you will have the Brooklyn Bridge, the Hugh Carey Tunnel, and on the western side of the borough, you will have the Lincoln Tunnel and the Harlem Tunnel. Okay. Now, some of you are probably wondering, why are you even discussing this topic? Which, in my case, I'm not a driver. I'm a protection. I'm a rider. Okay, because this is something that's going to affect New Yorkers, not just New Yorkers, but basically anyone that's traveling from the metropolitan area, whether it be New Jersey, whether it be um, Connecticut or upstate, okay, or the area beyond the boundaries of New York City. Okay. Now, again, the whole point behind all this, first of all, is to try to relieve the congestion. Okay. Now, in my case, I use a share ride service known as Accessoride. Okay. The reason why I use I use that service is to get from point A to point B. Okay, because unfortunately I have a problem with my left knee, and sometimes it's a challenge for me to try to navigate the stairs, particularly if you've seen some of the stations. I mean, some of those stairways to get to the station is very high, and it could be a major challenge to those who are physically disabled, like myself. Um, Irby, are you trying to troll me? Okay. This is coming from the person that uses an Obama phone. But but and one thing, like I said, anyone that travels any major city, there's going to be a lot of traffic. Okay. Okay. And that could create a great deal of stress. Okay. First of all, because you got to deal with other drivers. Some of them, that, some of them. Okay, some of them, I'm not all. They don't do everything they should. As far as sickening things like that. And then you got to deal with pedestrians. Sometimes they tend to think that the streets belong to them, and things of that nature. And look, I remember last week I had a driver that was my share ride vehicle, and it seems like he was suffering from road rage. But it seems like every word seems to be like uh, uh, a curse word in his native language. Okay. Now again, I don't drive. Okay. Um, so I really don't know what it is. I can just imagine it could be stressful because first of all, you have drivers who don't observe the rules of the road and things of that nature. But going back to this, see the whole point is to try to encourage people to find alternate means to travel in the city, um, preferably our transit system. Okay, um, and of course, people. Let's keep it real. There's been an uptick in crime in our transit system. Okay. Not only that, you deal with some weird characters in the subway. Okay. You got to deal with people. Some of those people are mentally disturbed. You also have to deal with people who act irrationally, and sometimes you got to deal with perverts. Okay, let's keep it real. And also you got to deal with the homeless. Okay, particularly those individuals that have gone a significant length of time without bathing. Okay, which does not create a pleasant atmosphere when you are in the subway and then you come close to someone that hasn't taken a bath in weeks. I'm not talking about days, I'm talking about weeks. Okay. Now, I don't want to cast aspersions on anyone. Yeah, because first of all, because we don't know what they go through. Okay, and so we do have to have a great deal of understanding and patience, but it does not mean that we should, be assaulted or what have you. And of course, in assault, and so which, with the level of crime that's happening in New York, and having to deal with people who are mentally disturbed, and then you have to deal with people who are trying to solve stuff, and then you have people. Um, Now I see we have a guest here. So before I let my guest in, let me just state for the record that the views of those who appear on the panel are not necessarily those of the host of the channel. In the attempt to copy the material without the consent of the host is prohibited. By appearing on the call, you waive your rights to your image. Some of the views that people hold may be considered offensive to some viewers. If you do not like the content, you can block the channel. And now I'm going to bring in my guest. Good evening, Ramon.
Good evening, Don Jose. What's going on?
I'm going fine today. Today was a very extremely humid day. It was god awful. It was in the 80s.
That's not you. I mean, that's not hot. I mean, actually, you wouldn't believe it if I tell you, but here where I'm at today was like it was yesterday. Well, yesterday was actually colder. It was actually like in the 60s because it rained a lot. Today, at least in the morning, it was actually in the 70s, and it only went up to like the mid 80s, late latter 80s or so. It's not hot out here down here. It's not hot, but let's see how long it lasts because we have been dealing with storms, with crazy storms, tornado warnings, downpouring crazy, tree branches in the road and stuff. Yeah, yeah. I want to give a shout out to the chat. I see Irby, I see Multi, Armando. What's going on, guys?
Okay. So the topic for tonight is congestion pricing, a blessing or a curse. Now,
That's kind of what I wanted to ask you because I didn't tune in from the beginning, and I didn't know I didn't know what that is. It's like the city nickel and diming you for things, services, and things like that.
no, what it, okay. Good evening, Gigi. Thank you very much for stopping by. Okay. The whole concept of congestion pricing is that they're trying to control the traffic that's coming into the borough of Manhattan. So, starting June the 30th, they're going to charge an additional fee to enter into what's called the congestion zone, which is from the southern tip of Manhattan to 60th Street.
Okay. But when they say congested, I mean, is it really bad when it comes to traffic in that area?
It can be okay. It can be very bad when it comes to traffic.
Okay.
Okay, so like if you operate a vehicle to enter in the congestion zone, you will have to pay an additional $15. If you use a motorcycle, it's $7.50. If you are a taxi driver, you'll pay an additional $25 per ride, and if you use Uber and Lyft, an additional $2.50. So yeah, so it's kind of like trying to encourage people to use public transportation to get into the city, but not everyone feels comfortable riding the subways.
No, I can only imagine. I mean, you know that how crazy it can be at the subways. Now, more people are gonna be using that, and it's gonna become it's gonna become more unsafe to be riding on on the subway. I mean, I only got a little taste of that back when I went up there for my birthday. But damn, I mean, in the middle of the day, people not being able to drive into that area, it's like, man, they're using that opportunity to nickel and dime.
Yeah.
Just because
So
people want to be driving around.
yeah. Now, of course, Gigi has her YouTube channels, so I'm going to ask you to show some love and check out her content and subscribe to her membership. And of course, the introvert Rico has his channel, so I'm going to ask you to do the same as well. Yeah, so that's the reason for the discussion. Now, depending how people view it, it's either a blessing or a curse. Okay, even though we know in the subway, well, in the subway, the fact we do see homeless people, we do see crazy people, and once in the blue moon, we do see a little mousy thing here and there.
Don't start. First of all, I want to giving a shout out to Golden G. What's going on, girl? But don't start with the mousy with the mousy because you have these monsters. You have monster rats riding around that steal people's pizzas. They'll steal your pizza if you don't watch it, and they'll fight you. You can't scare them away. They'll stand their ground and fight you.
If anything, they're more scared of us than we're scared of them.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
But so how's the traffic situation in your community?
Well, fortunately, I don't really have to drive long distances. But down here, I mean, the the driving, the traffic the traffic limit on the highway that starts is suggested that you drive at around 75 miles an hour, but of course people are going to be driving faster than that. That's it's 75 miles an hour. That's kind of a suggestion because people will drive faster than that, and I don't
Mhm.
like it. I don't like the highways because I'm not used to that. I'm not used to that speed on a highway. I mean, of course, when I grew up, there are highways, but people wouldn't be driving at 80. I mean, the posted sign says 75 on a highway. People are gonna drive much faster than that. I've seen it. It's a little scary. So it's not for everybody. But thankfully, because I do live relatively close to my job, I don't have to worry so much about highways. So it's all good. It's all good. I mean, again, the the driving, the speed limits are like suggestions. Not have to worry too much about that. Yeah.
Now, now, for the last few months, I've been using a share car service due to my disability.
Oh,
So yeah.
okay.
So what I do, okay, now what I do when I do use it to get
Mhm.
to work, I usually ask for a pickup 2 hours before I start I before I go I start my day. And the reason why is to because you do pick up other passengers, and also you got to factor in the traffic because sometimes the traffic going from the Bronx to Manhattan is crazy.
I'm sure it is. I can imagine.
Yes, and of course people don't want to ride the subway because they don't want to deal with homeless people, smelly
Hmm.
people, okay, and the crazy people, and the occasional mouse that you see here and there.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. You. So you say. Okay.
I mean, like I said before, the mice are more afraid are frightening us than we are them. So
Mm-hmm. All right.
now, now, of course, not everyone is happy about this congestion pricing, particularly those who drive and operate vehicles.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, because first of all, because you got to pay, okay, depending, from one, there's certain tolls that you got to pay to get from the outer boroughs now to enter into the congestion zone. There's an
Mm-hmm.
additional fee on top of that. And of course, what happens is those fees will get passed on to us because, those are
Yeah.
us who order items, whether it be furniture or food or clothing or what have you. Um,
Yeah.
we're going to have to pay additional fees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So I understand the concept, trying to
Mm-hmm.
alleviate the traffic. It does
Yes.
that. I don't know. I think we would. I think we would know more. Um, no, actually, Irby, there's still people that drive in New York because there are people that don't want to deal with the subway.
Yeah. One will assume that people that drive in New York is because it has to do with the jobs, delivery people, and city employees that drive the buses and things like that.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
But just changing the subject a little bit,
Mhm.
this Sunday is the Puerto Rican Day Parade.
Yeah, I wish I could go, but there is a situation that is forcing me to have to go to Puerto Rico for a long weekend. something I have to take care of. So
Yeah.
eventually, I would like to go to the OG Puerto Rican parade, and see it for myself. I haven't been able to see it. I mean, I remember a few years back talking to my mom about it. I mean, about her and I going there and seeing it, and she said nope. She didn't want it to. She didn't want to do it. But I would like to go. I would like to go. I would like to see it myself to see how it is. Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to be going to the parade, but I'm going to be riding in one of the vehicles.
You're gonna be kind of like a guest of honor on one of the vehicles that they use there.
Well, it's due to the, like I said, it's due to my disability.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if there is the accommodations, take advantage of it and go out there, have a good time. Of course you should.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, I'll be marching with my union.
Yeah.
So,
That's good.
but how bad is the traffic situation in your community?
No, down here where I'm at, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I mean, as long as you stay out of the highway, and you have to deal with the constant construction because the public works people they're always doing something to a part of the highway, and they have to close off lanes, and that can add to the problem when there's traffic jams, and because there is always something that supposedly they have to improve. I mean, there are always somewhere around on the highways. There is somewhere some part that is closed off because of some improvement that they're supposed to be doing, but they're never done with it. I mean, I guess they have to do it kind of to justify the budgets for public works. But a lot of the roads are already fine. They don't need to they don't need to really. It doesn't seem like there is anything that needs to be improved, but they're still doing it. They're still doing construction work on the highways, and that can be a problem. I have been stuck in a couple of major traffic jams, but it's because of public works people closing off lanes. Um, so I'm not against things being improved, but if the road wasn't messed up, then yeah, you could let people drive in peace, not having to deal about traffic jams with it. So yeah, aside from that, it's not bad. I can't complain. I mean, there are outside of the places where there are kind of like public works people doing road work, uh, fly, usually flows fine when it comes to the traffic. Usually flows okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, in the area where I'm at, I mean, the subway station that I use, you have to climb a lot of stairs, and that could be a big challenge to people, not only people who are physically disabled, but if you have like baby carriages and what have you, and if you don't have like elevators or escalators working, that could be a major challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and I see we have another guest. Good evening, Rakim.
What's going on,
Shout out to my
Rakim? What's
boy,
happening?
Introvert Boricua, Ramon. I was off today and saw you guys were streaming, so I thought I'd just join.
Okay, thank you very
Yeah.
much for stopping by. The topic for tonight is congestion pricing, a blessing or a curse. I don't know if you're aware of it, but basically what it is that starting the end of this month, there's going to be charging additional fees for people to enter what's considered the congestion zone, which is anywhere from the southern tip of Manhattan to 60th Street.
I mean, I, I see it no different from what they already doing. They, the cities, these cities, man, they always find ways to try to get extra money out of the citizens.
Right.
It's the same thing here. It's always like I know the Illinois tollways, man. To take the Illinois tollway to go into Stony Island on the south side, I think it's what, like $18, just to get there. Between that, Illinois' high taxes already, all types of stuff. They always find ways to extract money out of their citizens, and then by the time you turn around and you look around, you're like, where the hell is all this money going to? Because I haven't seen any improvements. I haven't seen any. It's still potholes in the middle of the street everywhere.
No.
It seems like the summertime, the construction crews is always working, but nothing ever gets fixed. So you're like, where's this money going to? So it doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, starting June the 30th, depending which part of the city you're in, you're gonna have to pay like $30 to enter into the congestion zone.
Okay, so you're paying a fee for the privilege to get into where the traffic jam is. So apparently they don't call it traffic jam anymore. They call it congestion. I mean, my lungs get congested. That's a congestion when I get sick. But now they're calling a congestion. Okay.
And all this to try to alleviate the traffic and to try to encourage people to use public transportation. The problem is people are having problems using the subway. First of all, they don't want to deal with the homeless people. They don't want to deal with the crime. They don't want to deal with the crazy people, whatever. They don't want to deal with the irrational people. And of course, you got to deal with an occasional mouse here and there.
Here we go.
Jose, it's the difference between a mouse and a rat.
Yeah, they both are rodents, but there is a big between mice and rats.
Just like it's the difference between a crocodile and an alligator.
Yeah, but the thing is that the difference between the two, it goes over my head. I don't know. I'll have to read into it because I can never tell which one is.
Well, I know you've been down there to Louisiana, Ramon.
Yes.
There's alligators everywhere. Crocodiles are mostly in Florida, and they are a lot bigger than the alligators. And their snouts are like kind of wider, and alligators only show their top teeth, but when crocodiles got their mouths closed, it's their bottom and their top teeth showing. They're a lot bigger than alligators, kind of like rats and mice.
Yeah, in Puerto Rico, it is an increasing problem with the caimans. Which is
they must be coming from Florida over that way.
Somehow they got there. They're not natural. The caimans are not natural of Puerto Rico. And recently they caught a reticulated python, like 15 feet long. That's not natural of Puerto Rico. There is a type of boa constrictor,
right?
Who's being in Puerto Rico that isn't poisonous. Right. But now we're finding all these other crazy snakes.
The only thing I can think of, if they're not natural, then the gringos must be bringing them over there.
Somebody's bringing them in as exotic pets or something. Either they escape or they let them loose. So we have in Puerto Rico now. It got caimans, it got pythons, it got deer, which is something
somebody is bringing them over there.
Puerto Rico got deer now because apparently something that had to do with one of the bases. Apparently, some soldiers brought them in to hunt them for sport. But in Puerto Rico, you can't be shooting guns at animals like that. You just can't do that. So they're not being hunted, but now they're spreading. Now that deer in Puerto Rico is spreading without a predator and without hunting, because they can't be hunted. So that eventually is going to have to to change eventually.
Right.
Not to mention the monkeys, because there are monkeys in Puerto Rico too.
Jesus Christ.
And that was because they escaped from some type of reserve or some type of research center. That some of them escaped, and they have been spreading. They have been multiplying because of the conditions. The tropical condition is ideal for many of these many of these beings, these animals, and I don't know, but I'm more concerned. But I really am more worried about the caimans because they can be dangerous. I mean, there are these guys that along the river and in the Rio Grande River in Puerto Rico, which is kind of like in the northeast, close to Loiza area. That they go along the rivers and they catch whatever they can. They catch the baby ones. Something that is too big, they cannot leave it alone because
Yeah.
it's dangerous.
And also the crocodiles are more aggressive than alligators.
Hmm.
Crocodiles actually they hunt people. Alligators don't. Um, it has been, numerous crocodile deletions in Florida, from what I hear.
Hmm.
But I think like Florida is the only place that you'll even find crocodiles. Other than that, it's only Louisiana, and that's in the in the South. Well, both are in the South, but Louisiana and the South in the swamps. But yeah, so it doesn't really it doesn't really like, I'm not surprised anything like what you were saying, Jose, because like everything that you said about, certain people don't want to deal with crime, which is how it's supposed to be. You don't want to be around that element, or homelessness, or different things like that. And the funny thing is, with the way that our government officials work, they're like, yeah, I completely understand that. That's why you should pay to go through this congestion zone, because they're going to find a way to capitalize off of everything. That's the way that these city officials do. These, city governments, they're not really for the people. They're trying to find ways that they can extract more income, more tax money out of the people to go towards something that they can, use to their benefit. Unfortunately, even here, like, all of the speed cameras are in the poor areas, and in in the areas where the wealthy people are, there's no speed cameras really. So that tells you everything you need to know.
Okay. Good evening, Have a Time Funk. Thank you very much for stopping by. And of course, she has her channel, so show some love and support the channel as well. I mean, look, I work for municipal government, so I mean, they just love to come up with ways to raise more money. Okay, just to give an example, is we had a filing for a promotional exam, and the promotional exam has been postponed indefinitely, but yet they collected thousands of dollars from people who filed to take the promotional exam.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Like, I'm trying to figure out, when have the cities ever did right by the people? If they have, it's been a long time, because I definitely don't remember it.
Yeah.
You might do something here and there, like, give some crumbs here and there. Hey, we just opened up this new store right here, and the mayor's there at the to cut the red ribbon or something like that. But for the most part, you don't really hear about like a lot of improvements that they're doing. They'll do something here and there, probably to cover up, all of the money that they're pocketing. But for the most part, they just, want to keep finding ways to take money from the citizens, or capitalize off of something to take from the citizens.
Yeah. Well, changing the subject, how do you feel about what happened last week with Donald Trump being found guilty of all 34 counts?
Well, I mean, yeah, this I could have my take, and I have my reasons for not liking him, and I could be sitting here and gloat about it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. If he's not gonna go to jail, so uh, it's gonna be like an empty victory. Because he's been given preferential treatment anyway. I mean, for all the whining that he's doing about how everything is rigged with him, the election was rigged and the trial was rigged. He's still being treated with privileges. I mean, he's not being put in jail, even though he committed all of those violations of the gag order. I mean, he makes it seem that gag orders were invented for him to limit his so-called freedom of speech. I mean, things in courtrooms do work a little bit different. I mean, you can be told not to talk about certain things during a trial, but he thinks that gag orders is something that was invented specifically for him, which is something that have been done in trials forever, for a long time at least. So yeah, I mean, eventually, I wasn't expecting him to be guilty on all counts. I was expecting him to be guilty on a few at least. But he got convicted on all 34 counts, and we'll see what happens. There hasn't been any sentencing, so we'll see what happens from here.
Yeah, my opinion. I was not like him being convicted on 34 counts is what raised my suspicion. Me personally, I think it is. I think it is politically based. I think that they're trying to prevent him from actually, being voted in by this upcoming election. And I'm not Republican or Democrat. I'm strictly independent, but it looks like based off of Biden's presidency and all of the things that have transpired under his presidency has caused the people here in this country to feel like they have to go towards, Trump. And in some ways, I definitely understand that. And I've never seen a president, a former president get convicted under 34 counts just like that. And so they're really trying to find ways to, stop the man from actually becoming the president. I'm no fan of, well, there's certain things about Trump that I find that's funny, but for the most part, we're going to have to see how it plays out. We're going to have to see how it plays out. In my personal opinion with America is no different than a lot of other countries that want to, wield a power and force the citizens into doing something. It's just that with the way, on the principles that this country was founded, America has to use manipulative tactics to make the people think that they have a freedom of choice. That way, people, they don't get like any type of rebellion. So it makes you think that, okay, I can vote this, I can vote that, or I'm doing this and I'm doing that, when in reality they manipulate through sources in the media and different things like that, and they depend on your ignorance to keep you lost. So they can, coerce you into doing or voting exactly the way they want you to. And it's really like you. So we're gonna see how this play out. We're gonna see how this play out. But I'm definitely not a fan of Biden at all.
Okay. Well, this is the way I see it. It's kind of like something. It kind of like something similar to Bill Clinton, that they tried to impeach him, basically because he. Okay, how could I say this without being too vulgar? He decided to get some sort of oral stimulation from Monica Lewinsky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, basically what Donald Trump did, he had an affair with a porn star and then tried to hide it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. I have issues with both candidates. Okay. And I
No, Jose, I got cut off.
Jose, with you being the city, working for the city, everything I said, they're like, you know what? We're gonna have a talk with you behind the scenes.
Yeah, come on back, Jose. Got cut off his own stream. Oof.
Okay, he's back.
sorry about that. I wish we had another alternative other than these two, because basically you have what you have is you have someone that's 80 years old that should have retired from politics a long time ago.
Hmm.
And then you have Donald Trump, which is close to 80. And if you compare his speech patterns now compared to 2015, it's completely different.
Hmm.
So basically, you're dealing with two people that should be enjoying the sunset years, and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
someone
You should
else
have been
not
retired. Hmm.
be president.
Yeah.
And
It's no sunset years, Jose, when it's about power. You got to
Oh
think
no,
about
no,
it.
definitely not. I can give you an example. Diane Feinstein. Feinstein. She killed Ober. She will go. She will go to meetings, Senate meetings in a wheelchair, but she would retire. She ended up killing Ober, holding on to that seat because of the power that comes with it. And people were telling her, and she was already deteriorating when it comes to cognition and um, her memory. She will talk about things over and over that she had already talked about, and because she had forgotten that she had already touched on a subject. She was like, what, 90 years old? She passed away holding on to her seat because she didn't retire. She wouldn't do it. So yeah, that kind of power that comes with those positions, yeah, it can be very intoxicating. So
yeah, I have said this before, and I'm going to say it again. And people don't like it. They can kick rocks. No one that's over 60 years old should be running for political office.
hmm yeah,
And I'm 61 years old. So
yeah,
I'm too old to be getting into politics.
yeah, yeah. That's yeah. There should be an age limit. Maybe I don't know if you think the same thing about the Supreme Court, because that's kind of like a lifetime thing. Those appointments are lifetimes until they decide to retire. And some of them they retire when they're very old. I remember this movie, the Pelican's Brief. The opening scene is the main character. He's talking to a Supreme Court judge who's in a wheelchair. He's so old that he can't walk, and they have to. The man has to have a nurse, like 24/7. Has to be wheeled around in a wheelchair because he's so old. But he was still on the Supreme Court. I mean, apparently his mind still worked, but he was too old to still be in the Supreme Court. They had the option to retire, but if they don't want to, they don't. So there are people that are calling for maybe there being a limit to an appointment to the Supreme Court.
I mean, even
Yeah.
Pope Benedict, I think even Pope Benedict the 15th or the 16th, he actually resigned the papacy.
Mhm.
So it's,
Yeah.
but then again, I mean, it's like these people basically they're in there until they die.
Hmm. Yeah.
In my personal opinion, and this is just based off my analysis, it's not really about the people. It's not about the people. It's about power. selling the people lies and hopes, having them, programmed to think a certain way. And, meanwhile, trying to get everything that you can get and do favors for your buddies. You can't have capitalism without corruption. You can't have capitalism without people being at the bottom to capitalize off of, because that's what capitalism is. It's capitalizing. So you have to have people that are below you to capitalize off of. And America is built on that system, and America is built around that. And a lot of the times it is just, selling the people fluff to get them to vote. In some cases, people may do certain things, but for the most part, a lot of the politicians are, has been sold out to the big corporations. That's what we're dealing with. They've been sold out to the big corporations. The corporations run everything in this country, and that's why the politicians are bought. Everything is bought. Labor is bought. everything.
Well, okay. I belong to a union, so it's kind of. But I understand what you mean, Rakim.
I was in the union too, Jose. I was with the Teamsters. But I can't speak on the unions in specifically, but unions are definitely great for the people. But even certain aspects of the unions, you got certain people in the unions that are corrupt, and the unions are not even as strong as they once were, and that's slowly dissipating as time goes on.
Yeah.
Well,
Unions are not allowed here in Texas. They're not allowed.
Right. Because when you think about it, right, the fact that they're not even allowed is the same reason. If I want to screw over my employees, I don't need you around here, man. Like, what are you around here snooping for? Let me screw over people in peace. So when you look at, like, even when you look back in the early 1900s, the child labor laws and the companies and all of the people going against the companies for the mistreatment of the workers and stuff like that. Things are just done in a different way today. It's just done in a different way. Maybe it may not be as in your face back then or as brutal, but a lot of the times it's the same things that's just dressed up in nice packaging with a pretty red bow. And it's done that way because they know if they do things blatantly, the people are going to respond and the people are going to react. So they're trying to figure out ways that they can do things where they can camouflage their real actions, because they all out for, they out for self and to keep enriching the people that's at the top, the top 1%. So
yeah.
Well, not only do I belong to a union, I hold a union position. I'm one of the welfare fund trustees.
Okay.
Oh man, shout out! That's great, Jose. That's real good.
Yeah.
That's real good. I'm just like, and because you come from a generation where things ran, where it was that boom, where it was people was working and jobs was in full effect and different things like that. But outside of your seniority or people with your seniority, that is slowly dissipating. That is slowly drifting away. Because of my personal opinion, just based off of from what I've seen and putting two and two together, I don't think with America being ran by the corporations, they don't care about the people at all. Like, everything is up for grabs to the highest bidder, and I don't know what's to come for the next generation. That's coming, because it's getting to the point where people can't even afford houses.
Yeah.
Anymore. That for just like 10 years ago, that was a New York thing. People was leaving New York because they could no longer afford the homes and the rent was too expensive. I can remember back in the early 1990s in Harlem and parts of Brooklyn, the brownstones, how they was cheaper to get, and now those brownstones over 1 point something million, and people can't even live in the city of New York anymore. They migrated to Jersey or migrated to Connecticut or Pennsylvania or went down south, and now that's everywhere. That's everywhere. Everywhere is getting to the point where you can't afford. The average rent is what? No, they say the cheapest is what, 1,400? Like in certain parts of the country.
Yeah. Yeah. Soon enough, it's gonna get like that here.
Yeah. And I had one of my people's. She was actually the person that trained me in truck driving. She went down there and she came back to Illinois. She said in Texas things are like the only difference is the gas is cheaper, but now it's getting to the point where it's super expensive down there in Texas. She was in the Houston area, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's getting It's because of the migration. People are coming in from other parts, from everywhere in the country. People are coming. I'm coming here, and that's driving up the costs. And everywhere there were places, I'm seeing it in the last few years, places where there might be a green area, there was a park, a place that you could walk around. No, that's not there anymore. It's another apartment building. They have been building those apartment buildings like crazy.
And then people take their bad habits with them from all over the country. So they'll leave, and the way that they did things is so set in their mind there, they'll come to Texas, and before you know it, the rates have risen up because, oh no, I'll give you more for this house, or I'll give you more for this place, because they're so used to paying high rent wherever else they came from, and then before you know it, driving up the cost, and then it's become a southern version of where they was from.
Yeah.
So, Joaquin, when can we expect some content from you?
Man, I don't know, Jose. I've been kind of like working a lot, but I thought about doing the stream. I want to definitely get back into it. I want to be able to do where I do the editing and different things like that. I really want to give my channel I don't even know where to begin when it comes to editing and stuff like that. But I want to do that and have clips and everything, because I visit certain people's channels and I'm like, oh man, if I can have this with good content, I really would like have on my channel and talk about a variety of topics. So, but I gotta figure it out.
Yeah, well, in all fairness, what people they don't realize, it takes a lot of time to create content, particularly if you wanted to create quality content. And not all of us have the time to devote to do this. I mean, I'm gonna have plenty of time when I'm recovering from surgery. But it takes a lot of time and heavy. Now, I'm happy to say there's been a lot of growth in my channel. In fact, I'm approaching 100,000 views and 400 subs.
Oh, nice. Those are nice numbers there. Yeah. That's good.
But I think time will tell whether or not congestion pricing is a blessing or a curse. I mean, first of all, people are going to have to be educated regarding this whole thing. And of course, if you take a taxi, or if you take a car share service, those fees are going to be passed on to you.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure.
Yeah. But in any case, Ramon, just want to let you know that there's going to be a part 2 regarding the myth regarding Puerto Ricans. It'll be this Friday.
Yes. All right, that's good.
Yeah, but I'm surprised that there were people that trying to, you know, gatekeep from my side, from my side, what's Puerto Rican, what's not Puerto Rican, because the way I see it,
Yeah.
we're the last ones to have to be trying to gate watch anything.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is something that I have seen coming from certain diasporans that they want to make the identity, the Puerto Rican identity about race and making it like only somebody that have native heritage, Taino heritage, that they are the only ones that can be called Boricua. Um, to a degree, I can understand that concern because if you look at say New Zealand, in New Zealand they have the Maori, they have the native Maori people. But the thing is that when it comes to the rituals and the customs of the Maori, you got white men taking on that, taking on on their customs. You see, because they're New Zealanders, and because they're New Zealanders and they're born there, you see these white guys doing Maori rituals. So to a degree, I can understand what they're talking about. But the thing is that in 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 Puerto Rico, because the if you find a pure Taino, that that person is going to be very elderly. They're not going to be around much longer, and they have to be valued and all. But the the whole thing, the heritage, the cultural heritage to Puerto Rico, that has already been established, and that's not going to go anywhere. And we honor it. We remember it. We honor it. We got all of these municipalities and all of these towns that have native names, that have Taino names, and we are well aware of the history. We're well aware of the different caciques, and there was which are the village chiefs, and there were some of them that were even women. So the Tainos were very progressive. They were actually quite
Yeah.
progressive.
Um,
They were they were not just mothers; they were also fighters, and they will work the land and things.
Now,
So
correct me if I'm wrong, Ramon, but to my knowledge, if I'm correct, I believe the island of Puerto Rico, out of all the Caribbean islands, is the islands with the strongest DNA and culture left from the Taino people. If I'm correct, am I correct?
yeah, because the bloodline was not dissipated. The bloodline is around. It's just that it's barely, if you'll be lucky if you find somebody who is mostly Taino. And most likely they're gonna be mixed with something else, and
Mm.
there is a high level of the whole mixing, whether it was willingly or not. When it comes to people that have more of a European descent, mostly Iberian,
Mhm.
because it wasn't just the Spaniards. I mean, a lot of people don't know that, but a lot of people that migrated from that were Iberian were either from the Canary Islands or actually Portugal. A lot of people don't know that. Many people that came to Puerto Rico were actually Portuguese. But what happened is that when they will get to Puerto Rico, they will change their names. I'll give you an example. If somebody who was from Portugal and the last name was, say, Oliveira or Ribeiro, they will change the last name to, say, Oliveras, which is the Spanish variation, or Rivera or Rivero, not Ribeiro. You see, they will change the spelling a little bit to make it kind of like
Make it Spanish instead of Portuguese.
the Spanish variation. That's something that did happen a lot. And there was a time, but there were actually more Portuguese than Spaniards in the island, but they just changed their names.
And I think a lot of people too, they don't think about that from that aspect that you just said, because they think Puerto Rico Spanish, they speak Spanish, so that means it was just completely Spanish, and that's not the case.
No, not necessarily. This is something that has been researched, and there was a time I don't know. I don't remember the years. There was a period of time. I think it was between the 18th and 19th centuries. There was a period of time where a lot of Portuguese came to Puerto Rico, but they just changed their names.
Hmm.
It was difficult for them to do that.
Right, right. And
And uh
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, that's not the only heritage. That's not the only major heritage. Of course, there is the Taínos, there is the European, but there was also the African, which is something that we have talked about. But there was also the Arabic. There was also the Arabic because there was
Yeah, that
the
one.
Arabic. Yeah, because of the Moors, there was an Arabic presence, and even in the language, a lot of people don't know that the Spanish language has thousands of words that do come from Arabic. I mean, and a lot of those. I'll give you a couple of examples, like algarroba, uh, uh,
Azúcar.
almohada, azúcar.
Mhm.
It's a bunch of words. It's a bunch of words particularly that start with the syllable al. That
Yeah,
start with the syllable.
yep.
Yeah. A lot of words that start with those two letters that you find them in Spanish, but they really trace back to Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, in any case, we're gonna continue the discussion on Friday.
Okay.
But like I said, as far as the mainline Puerto Ricans trying to,
Hmm.
gatekeep, it is not our place because we belong to a different culture, and we should just accept that.
No,
Okay.
and I'm not trying to say anything that can cause some type of a division. It's just that I would like for these certain diasporans to understand that they can't come to Puerto Rico and try to make these divisions over race. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. We don't allow that. We don't
Yeah.
allow that. Being divided because of race, because of somebody from the outside tries to say, you look like this or you are like that, so you don't get to call yourself a Boricua because you don't have enough of the Taino bloodline, or you're too white, you're too European, so no, you're an outsider, you're a colonizer, things like that. We don't think in those terms. We don't think like that, because if we were so enamored and so concerned with the European identity, okay, yes, we held on to the Spanish. All right. But we wouldn't know today. We wouldn't know anything about the Taino part. And this is all documented, and we all know. Any history professor but it has to be a professor, somebody from the university. They can go in because the information is out there. And also, when it comes to the African heritage, there is a whole museum. There is a whole museum in Old San Juan that is specifically about the African heritage, and documents the whole thing about the slavery in Puerto Rico. And the slavery in Puerto Rico was actually relatively minimal. Definitely not much compared to what happened in the Dominican Republic and in Haiti. So that's why you see us and you see the Dominicans, and you see a difference in complexion, because the even they might deny it, whatever. Let them deny it.
Like
You
what
just
you,
look at
yeah,
them and
what you're saying, Ramon, it was more slaves that was imported to into the island of Hispaniola than what they were over into the island of Puerto Rico. And then on top of it, based off of from what I read, then the Spanish abandoned Puerto Rico early on because they went to
they wanted to get to Mexico. They
yeah.
wanted, because apparently there were more riches there. And
I read about that. I actually read about that. Hernan Cortez, he took men because after they left Puerto Rico, they settled in Cuba for a while. and he took people from Cuba into Mexico, and a lot of people, they didn't even want to go because they was like, man, I'll just stay back here in Cuba, but they was trying to get to that gold and all of that other stuff that the all of the other riches and everything that was in Mexico. I read about that. Yo.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Because there were natives there to trick and to conquer. And unfortunately, even though they were intelligent and they were advanced, but unfortunately, when the white man showed up in Mexico, they thought that
They were gods, I think.
That was They thought that it was it was the return of Quetzalcoatl, which is a deity. That is kind of like a white serpent, and because because the colonizers, let's call it what it is, the Spaniards that showed up were white skinned. They thought that they were kind of like a reincarnation of that deity. So they were able to take advantage of that confusion and get it in.
Yeah, I mean that seemed like that was the end result for everyone, because I mean when you study history with the Europeans, they were just more advanced with weaponry and different things like that. So when they migrated into these areas, whether it be Africa, whether it be Mexico, and what is now the United States, even though that was technically part of Mexico as well, but
the Southwest. All of the Southwest United States that used to be northern Mexico. So,
and but they and practically all of these people that were belong to tribes that they was used to warfare with arrows and bows, or those animal shields that they made in Africa and different things like that. When they saw this weaponry and these people on horseback, they thought that these people were like gods that was in their religions. That was
and that was intimidated at first, but eventually they fought back. In Puerto Rico, for the first 20 years, they realized fairly quick that the Europeans were not immortal. And this is something that is often forgotten about, what happened during the first trip, during the first voyage, when Columbus got to La Española. They set up a fort. They set up that was called Nativity Fort, and when they left, the Columbus left a garrison with some of his guys, and he went back to Spain. He left some people there. He went back to Spain. By the time they came back in the second voyage, the second trip, the whole fort was burned to the ground, and the whole garrison was killed. I mean, they realized that fairly quick. I mean, so they weren't always thinking that they were immortal.
Yeah.
But this is something that I see that this is something that they don't talk about.
No.
Well, you know what? Like, even with what you're saying, what you're saying, Ramon, I just realized too, like, there's certain people that are interested. I mean, you and I and Jose can have this conversation all day, but there's certain people that just they're not interested in history or learning, various things. Like I make an example of how simple it is, us being here in America, right? You can ask certain people, what language does Spain speak? And it wouldn't even come to their mind Spanish, because when they think about Spanish, they associate Spanish with Mexico.
Oh no, but that's the education system. Education system when it comes to history and geography, it's kind of like. And
then part of it too is because they never ran across a Spaniard ever. You'll 10 times out of 10 you'll run across the Latinos before you ever run across a Spaniard, or if you do run across a Spaniard.
It kind of bothers me to know when they call a Spanish speaking Hispanic, they call them Spanish. I mean,
I think that's a New York thing, because but you're right. It does. I've heard other people say that it irritates them when they say that too.
Well, at this point, we're going to start to wrap this up. Will you guys be available to stop by briefly for the backstage?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can be there for a few minutes.
Okay.
Before you end it, Jose, I just wanted to say, speaking when you were speaking on Puerto the myth about Puerto Ricans, I want to say shout out to my city for renaming the area of Humble Park Barrio Boriken.
I heard something about that. I
Yeah,
think you said, I don't know if you sent me something about
yeah,
it.
yeah. I see.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's
And they have
amazing. I have to visit it sometime.
yeah,
Yeah.
they have the area where they was doing that where they was dressed like the Taino people. They was doing that at the Puerto Rican Museum of
Mhm.
Arts and Culture, the Cultural Puerto Rican Museum on the northwest side. And the
Yeah.
area has been, even though the area, like the culture and everything is still there, but a lot of people have moved out. Chicago is changing
Yeah.
demographically because I think when I was growing up in the city, there was what 140,000 Boricuas in the city of Chicago. Is
Yeah.
200, I believe, like 230,000 in the whole state of Illinois. But now that's down to 90,000 because some have
Whoa.
moved,
Yeah.
like not 90. I'd say about 97 when I did my research because a lot of people, due to the high living costs and different things like that, a lot of people have either, if they haven't went to the suburbs or
Mhm.
parts of Indiana, then they moved to Florida, or some people have went back to the island. So it's changed. The
Mm.
demographics are complete. Even with African Americans, when I was growing up, Chicago had 1,083,000 African Americans, and now that's down to 750,000 in the city
Mm.
from
Okay.
2000 to 2024. So, but the culture and everything is still there, and I will be going to the PR festival in the next coming days. So.
Oh,
Okay.
cool. Oh,
So
nice.
so now we're going to take closing remarks. So we're going to start with the person whose sexual desire is to be
Don't stop. No, stop.
tied down
Stop.
and have 10,600-pound women who haven't bathed in 6 months, who haven't wiped their butts,
Oh,
make
oh,
love to him,
no,
who wants to
no.
go to Orchard Beach and be buried in the sand and swim in the
Orchard Beach.
Crystal
That
Pure
sound that
blue water,
everybody is pissing and
who wants
shitting.
to ride the subway and know that we don't have a serious wet problem. The introvert but equal.
Jose, what the hell? You're portraying me like I don't have any taste. Like I don't have, yeah. Like, come on, Jose. I mean, I like a woman with the thickness in the right places, but that whole really big, fat, like like you're describing, no, that they don't bathe. Hell no. Yeah, I don't want to be around no stinky pussy. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it like
Or haven't wiped
that.
their butts in a while either.
The what?
Or haven't wiped
Uh,
their butts up.
no thanks, no thanks. I mean, hygiene is is of utmost importance for me when it comes to my woman. I mean, it has to be everything has to be very clean, squeaky clean. That's how it has to be with me. So, but Jose, appreciate you letting me be on your panel. Uh, Sorry to hear that they're nickel and diming you for kind of like basic access to a part of New York City. These things are unfortunately bound to happen. It's unfortunate. Um, so it might be up to the people to to actually voice their problem with that and not taking it lying down. So I do hope that that can be overturned. Maybe it will come into effect. You said that it was already law. I hope that they overturn it because I think that's just you're being taxed over things that you're already taxed for. So I think that's like that's an abuse. I mean, nobody likes the tolls, because you know that the tolls are just extracting money and extracting money and extracting money, and you don't know where it's going, like Joaquin was saying earlier. But once again, Jose, I appreciate you letting me be on your panel. And for the moment, that's all I got. And I'll see you guys on the next one. And I'll wait. I'll wait in the back. But appreciate you letting me be on your panel. Shout out to the panel, to the chat, I should say. Herbie, so Multi earlier, Golden, and Kishel. I think I saw Kishel or girl
Yeah,
Kishel.
she was in the chat.
Yeah. I know that I saw her too. But shout out to all of them, and thank you for having me. Until next time.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Ramon, for stopping by. I'm going to put you in the backstage. Now, Rakim, your final thoughts.
Oh, thank you for allowing me up, Jose. It's been a very interesting conversation. Just giving my perspective on that. It's obvious that the city of New York is looking to extract more money from taxpayers, and it's no different here in the Midwest and in other big cities across the United States. And they all run off the same playbook, and just people need to be aware of that, and people need to know what they vote for and educate themselves on where their money is going, so things like this can be prevented. Because once they see that a lot of people are not willing to go along with this, they'll back down on it. So.
Okay, well, thank you very much for stopping by, Rakim. I'm going to put you in the backstage. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you my final thoughts. Also, thank you, Herbie, for stopping by. Look, it's here. How long it's going to stay, no one knows. But the whole thing is, the fact of the matter is now you have certain motorists that, depending what area of the city that you live in, to drive in the congestion area, you're going to have to pay $30, and that's insane. Okay. I understand the rationale. It does that. I mean, it's going to make life harder for New Yorkers, but we shall see. So a huge shout out to everyone that appeared on the panel, and a huge shout out to everyone that appeared on the channel. I'm going to be live on my other channel this Wednesday at 9 o'clock, talking about the issues that Puerto Ricans deal with living in the United States. So it is what it is. So with that being said, of course, all of you are more than welcome to enter your comments after the stream is over. Just try to keep it respectable. We can disagree and whatever. But if you're going to be disrespectful, it will be deleted. So with that being said, I'm going to close the same way that I always close. We must do everything possible to be away from the influences for the mentally, intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by the stupidity and massive insanity. This has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron, saying good night, take care, and peace.